This is my style.
Welcome to Work the Left Side. I am extremely hyped to announce tonight's guest. Somebody I want to talk to for a long time. Finally managed to reach out and send out the invitation. Kindly accepted. And here he is. I am talking to the one, the only, the awesomeness. That is Jack Bennett. Sir, how are you?
Great, yeah. Just, watched you for quite a while, so it's cool to be on this. And, I think we've always been in the same kind of like circles, but we've never like touched base, if that makes sense. So that's quite cool.
Like ships in the night, just kind of just sliding past.
Yeah, and that's subtle drift.
But obviously, like I sort of said, been on my radar, for ages. Anything to do with Fight Factory's always got my attention. So obviously, from off the bat, straight away from there, doing the death match for dummies when Radu was trying to educate me on the finer art and the beauty of deathmatch wrestling, all around the world. A few of your matches came up on episodes.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'll go into one of them that was really memorable for me. I was just like, oh shit, that's the first time I kind of seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And then just obviously, I've had Jack Maxwell on a few times. We've discussed the series of matches you guys have had. So you've always kind of, like you sort of said, just ships in the night. We've always kind of been just there. But there we go. It's finally happened. So
here we are.
Dude, obviously, out the bat, thank you very much for out the gate. Thank you for coming on. But we'll get the generic stuff out of the way, and then I think we can sort of talk probably a little bit more gruesome stuff and then family friendly stuff. So, obviously, doing my research, looking back sort of through, again, I only kind of partly trust Cage Match, but basing my information on that, I think it's saying, you made your debut like late 22, 23?
22, I believe. 21, late 21. I think it's October 2021, I believe. So it should be Body Slams to Cancer. So I went in there, and before I went in the Diamanto Memorial Battle Royal, I intervened in a match with Dutch, and he power slammed me. First bump on a show ever. Power slammed me through into a load of drawing pins. And none of them stuck in me. So,
starting off as you mean to go on.
Yeah.
But obviously talking Fight Factory. I don't think that show is on Cage Match because I always kind of look out for the Body Slams to Cancer, purely because of what the show is, what it's done, what it's done for, sort of the love behind it. But for some reason I don't think they're on there. But obviously, you've just mentioned him, Dutch, the man himself.
Cool guy. Really
again,
cool guy.
If I'm not misinformed, I think he's the man partly responsible for sort of your awesomeness.
Yeah, you trained me, went in there. I've watched it since I was a kid. Like, that's due to my dad, but everything kind of like all my basics, fundamentals and stuff like that, I learned from him. So, I wouldn't be running now without learning to walk with him, to be honest. So really cool guy, really nice guy. Got a lot of time for Dutch. A lot of time for him.
So you sort of say, obviously, then, so that's part of the question kind of thing, you was into it when you was younger, wrestling fan from a young age. At what point, did the penny drop? Then did you kind of think, what, this is something that I want to do? I want to go from just being a fan to actually participating.
So, I'd never started training like wrestling. I never even thought about doing it until I was like 22. Well, I always wanted to be a wrestler when I was a kid. Like, I'd watched it since I was really young, and I'd always think, oh, that's really cool. And I'd try doing like flips and stuff and moves on the trampoline, but that was it. Like, I'd never been taught anything. So when I was like 22, I said I went to Fight Factory, went to a session. He said, oh, you picking this up all right? Do you want to come back? And Dutch invited me back, and I took some precautions. Like, I ended up at work, we've got like an on-board gym. So I was like, okay, let's do 5K every break, like get my fitness up. Because even though ring fitness is a completely different kettle of fish, I didn't want to go in there and like do 6 rolls and be gassed out my arse kind of thing. So it was a shock. It was crazy. Like, in all the good ways, like, I never thought at the age I am now that I'd be doing some of the stuff that I have done. So, which is pretty crazy, to be honest.
Dude, I mean, yeah, just looking, not just obviously using cage match, but you're just going on YouTube, searching matches kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's what 3-4 years, depending on what we're basing it on, what I'm basing it on, kind of thing. At a push, you're 4 years, into the journey. That's like at a push,
Yeah.
and the fact that you've a lot of people can be like 5 years, experience
Yeah.
this, that, and the other, and they still haven't managed to, work abroad, or they haven't had that opportunity.
Yeah.
Mate, you've been back and forth, to Japan.
Yeah. It
And
was, it's cool. I love it there. Like, I'm dying to go back.
I've been asked to ask, you obviously learned Japanese.
Yeah.
You speak Japanese, don't you?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So I've always loved, like, don't get me wrong, up till the age of, like, I don't know, 15, 16, I was like, yeah, I was dialed in on WWE. Like, I thought it was cool. But there was always like New Japan, All Japan in the background. My dad, he doesn't really like mainstream wrestling as much. He'll watch like bits of AEW, doesn't entertain WWE, but he will watch like New Japan, All Japan, Noah, stuff like that. And so that I think kind of does shape like a lot of my preferences when it comes to wrestling. So even like he's not a big like deathmatch. He's not a big fan of deathmatch, but he like appreciates like ECW and stuff like that, and he thinks Takeda's cool. So it's like a lot of my taste I feel came from that. So yeah, it's yeah, I do try and take a lot from that kind of Japanese style, and it's just very lucky. So kind of like learning the Japanese was always there, like, and then I wanted to book holiday, so I booked it all through work, and I was like, okay, I'll learn a few phrases, and I was like, so I mastered that in about a month or so. And I was like, okay, I'll start learning this. So I was on night shifts at work, so I had like nothing to do really. So I was just reading from textbooks and like studying for like 8 hours a night, like kind of through osmosis as well, because like all the wrestling I was watching was in Japanese. So I'd pick up words. So like I remember like, I know the first symbol in New Japan is Shin. So Shin Nihon, New Japan. And it just kind of like built from there. Like I was picking up words like Sanjipun, 30-minute time limit match. So it kind of all got pieced together like that. And then kind of just went in at the deep end and gambled, went on holiday, and yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. Like you said, though, it's crazy. Probably like it's like I don't know, like when you're listening to music. I know it's obviously it's in English and kind of thing, but when it's crazy how lyrics get stuck in your head without you even knowing it kind of thing. You could sing back half a song after hearing it a few times.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're hearing like this Japanese, the language over and over again whilst watching the wrestling, little bits are going to kind of seep in and stick there, and you'll be like, oh shit, I actually know more than what I thought I knew, kind of thing.
Yeah. Just grew, I guess.
Crazy. That's just. But as you sort of said, it's worked out really well because you spent quite a bit of time over there. Talking about one of the matches that myself and Mr. Bulat looked at was we did an episode where it was no ropes, no problems. Basically, it was all the kinds of matches that took place without a ring. And he obviously showed me your. I'm not going to attempt to say the opponent's name. I don't want to butcher anybody's name. I don't want to sort of say it slightly wrong. Guy. That's it. But it's kind of like in the cage kind of.
Oh, DIE. I think that was only like the 4th or the 6th like DIE show ever.
Yes, so he said it was early doors. Yeah, because the venue looked quite small and kind of like there's just people kind of.
It was in a bar downstairs in Shinjuku called Cafe de Corazon. So you'll have if you watch like a lot of Japanese wrestling or like backstage of Freedoms and stuff like that, you'll see they'll have Corazon shirts on, which is a brand. And it was Cafe de Cuervos, it was actually. And the guy called Asahi, Asahi-san, he was the nicest guy ever. Like, he's like, oh, we appreciate you coming and wrestling in here, and You know, he's like, have a beer. I'm like, no, I don't drink booze. He's like, okay, cool. He's like, have this then. So I've still got my Cafe de Cuervos Carrazzi shirt upstairs, which is the brand he owns. So that's quite cool.
But again, like I say, you know, what does it say? You know, he kind of used that match as an example of, you know, just like I say, yeah, you don't need a ring, and there's the whole sort of the formula of that match was very sort of space wise, it was very limited, so it must have been very kind of interesting to try and sort of be like, right, okay, well, obviously we've got to do this, we've got to move around a little bit, but everything was very much just within those confounds.
Yeah,
probably I don't know what 10 foot, probably about 10 foot wide.
Yeah, probably about as wide as my dining room table. It was mad. Like that was my first ever death match. So
oh shit, really? I didn't realize it was hard. You mentioned it was your first ever one. Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's my first ever death match. That and like being thrown in there with Sakuda, who I think's probably one of the most underrated deathmatch wrestlers in the game. Luckily, he's kind of getting his flowers now, and he's going to like Australia and Japan. Australia and America, plenty. But really cool guy. Stayed in touch with him. Ended up coming back and doing more DIE. But if you have a look on the card, there's like Orca Uto, who was part of the Abdullah Kobayashi Gundam. You had like Drew Parker on there as well. So that was cool. So like the three of those guys, and like Takayuki Ueki as well, he's in Freedoms. He's done like King of Barefoot Championship and stuff like that. So that was it was really cool. Like it kind of got my foot in the door there, and kind of also like made me some friends, which are like still really good friends today.
Yeah, that's all. Because yeah, you know, I hear it so many times from talking to people. You know, like the key word, you know, being networking. You know, sort of saying, you know, you can't underestimate how powerful networking is. You know, getting out there, get to meet people, just getting your face known. So if you're out there, like I said, you're making friends, you're making a good impression. You know, you're doing this match, you're turning up. Yeah, you know, it's going to lead to bigger and better things, and it's going to lead to consistency as well. You know, you're going to get to go back there, and yeah, you just build up that relationship.
Oh, sure. Like, it's just led to like loads of stuff. So like through them, I got the contact for Seozawa while I was over there. Met up with him a bunch. Like he took really good care of me. Got me into some stuff that like I was very lucky to go to. So like he took me to Snake Pit, which is like catch wrestling gym, and there's this I think it's Masato. He's called. He used to be in like Pancrase, and he's like a shoot fighter, and like it's where Billy Robinson and like all Carl Gotch trained, and he cooked us chanko nabe, and he did like a 5-course meal for us, and that was really cool. And like say every time I've been to Japan, say he's taken me out, and like whether it be after stuff or before, or he's like, I'm coming to see you on such and such a day. I was like, it's cool. It's really nice that people have got like that belief in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it just goes to show whatever you're doing, you know, you're doing it right. You've got the right attitude. You know, you're being a professional wrestler, which, you know, it's in the name. You're turning up and you're being professional, and people respect that.
I hope to. Like, you know, I try and shake everyone's hand when I get into the locker room and stuff like that, and say my goodbyes and pitch in with ring builds and stuff like that. Like, you know, there's enough trouble you'll have with people coming through the door at a deathmatch show at times. Like, you don't need to add to it. You know, we're all here to have a good time, keep each other safe, and let loose a little bit. So, you know, least you can be is quite professional with someone, especially, you know, they're paying your wage.
Because I mean, I can obviously only speak to the guys that I've had the pleasure of speaking to, based on the UK scene kind of thing. But it sounds crazy. Like you're trying to explain it to somebody who doesn't know wrestling, or who's only ever watched, if they've ever watched any deathmatch wrestling kind of thing. But legitimately, the people that I've spoken to that are involved in that scene, as I say, over here, some of the nicest people I've ever had the pleasure of speaking to, or if I've met them face to face, legitimately like nicest human beings I've ever met in person kind of thing. It just sort of seems like, I don't know, you kind of get all that gnarliness out in the ring, and then, you know, afterwards, yeah, man, it's all hugs and cuddles. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all just human, aren't we? Like, at the end of the day, we've all, you know, take away, you know, what we've done in there. We're all guys with jobs, with lives, and you know, no one wants to injure someone that badly they can't go to work the next day and stuff like that. I think it's just a bit of compassion in it.
Yeah, like I say, we get to do it here, but it blows. Like I say, it's really weird because I say if you only ever witness like the matches and the brutality, and you see you guys in action, to then kind of see you afterwards, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're really lovely. So, but yeah, obviously, I mean, I'm talking about the UK guys, like so that's where my sort of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like I say, I've watched loads of things thanks to Radu and him constantly sending me matches, being like, right, here's 10 matches, here's 10 matches, here's 10 matches. I think one day I watched about 10 matches in a row, and even for me, I was like, I think, like Clockwork Orange. By the end of it, I was like, no, mate, I need to put a Disney film on or something. I need to kind of balance.
Just de-stimulate.
Obviously, another name I noticed though that I've seen a few times. Using a match with I've just totally forgot. It's Drake Younger. I was going to say Drew Parker, but obviously, Drew Parker.
Cool,
but yeah,
cool guy Drake Younger was.
Yeah, I was going to ask how that was because he's quite of a big name. I'm told now, obviously, stateside, and he comes from being a referee, in the big leagues to venturing out and just doing, the deathmatch stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so he started off wrestling anyway. Like he started off in like in the Indies, and then he ended up doing like CZW Tournament of Death and bits like that. So he was well acquainted in it, and obviously he went up to the Fed, refereed, and come back down. So that match I had with him, that 6-man tag street fight, was my BJW debut. So I was bricking it at, like 26-year-old kid. Well, 20, yeah. I think I was about 25, 26 in Corricanall, where I've loved watching since I've been about 9-10 years old, with arguably one of the best deathmatch wrestlers of any generation, simply for his psychology and his actual technical wrestling as well. I definitely put him in that like upper echelon of like Danny Havoc and people, and like you Jun Kasai, you Takedas, people like that. So that such an absolute gem, really nice guy, took good care of me. Yeah, really cool dude.
That's what you sort of said probably a couple of years ago now. So again, that was only like 2 or 3 years. I mean, you're ticking off the boxes so early in the journey. It's it's mind blowing.
You're a big one. Like there's a few I've not ticked off yet that I'm dying to do, but I have fingers crossed I'll get a few of them done in the next few years.
Yeah. But we'll bring it back over here because obviously I've noticed the vulgar display of straight edge violence.
Oh yeah, cool that.
Any chance I get to talk about Franco, I'm gonna big him up. Love Franco. Franco's amazing. One of those people that I was on about that's just legitimately just he's a big scary bastard, but you get to talk to him and it's like, oh
yeah.
But yeah, that as a teammate, as a team name, that's boss. But as a team as well, mate, sort of some of the clips and some of the matches.
Oh yeah. Like, so that was never like a me and him idea. Like we get on really well. Like he's into all that same music as me, and he's in bands like that. So we gel really well. And Andy from Bleeding Gums was like, I think you and him, like, I think you and him in tag. He's like, you'll absolutely hammer it, you boys will. And obviously our first one was British Top Team with Lou Nixon and Brett Semtex. That were mad. That absolutely crazy match. Loved it. I think I went about 6 foot in air off his back. He's strong as fuck. Flew me into Brett and Lou with this massive shotgun that went flying out the ring. Yeah. And
See what? Like, I don't know. I'm going to make a comic book reference here, but as soon as I saw that kind of clip, I was just kind of like, that just reminds me of like Colossus and Wolverine. That's like a fastball special. I was like, just pick him up and wang him.
Oh yeah. And then we had like the tag team death gauntlet as well. That was cool. Like me and Franco being in there with Darko and Joe, showing that we can actually like hold our own, even though we've not been in the game like crazy long. Like, and then to have those guys put us over at the end was like, man.
Oh, that's it, yeah. Because I mean, Franco, as much as it again blows my mind to think about it, he's only, really early doors. He's only been around, for a few years. It's not a long-term wrestler kind of thing. So yeah, you both out the gates, and obviously it's working because it's not just at Bleeding Gums. You guys kind of work with Dara as well, don't you?
Yeah, can do from now and again. You know,
Yeah.
bit of that.
So
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. You never know. Like there might be some reincarnation somewhere down the line. I wouldn't say no to it. Like every match me and him have had, like I've always had so much fun. Hopefully, it feels the same. I think it was something very different to what was currently like the dynamic. So yeah.
Right. But again, like what you're sort of saying there, you know, your first time together as a team against, you know, a British top team, there seems to be a lot of firsts very early on kind of thing. Is like, you know, just like, oh, first time I did this, yep, that's it. That was that done. That was that done. And again, looking through, you just mentioned a few names. You mentioned obviously British top team there, Caden, Darko. It's just like, you know, a big effing Joe. Obviously, I used some of your matches in the intro for the episode.
Yeah.
And there's probably more clips from this one match than any of the other ones, which was, you know, you against Harrop at Kumite. Again, that's just blows. Kumite is another promotion that I absolutely love, and I want to hype up as much as possible. And I don't get a chance to as much as I should. But as soon as I saw some, you know, you'd work Kumite, I was like, yes, I get a chance to, you know, watch it and big them up.
Yeah, very, very thankful for Malachi and Fletch. Like, so I was going to the shows as a fan anyway, and then you know I spoke to Joe loads, and Joe kind of knew me, and Caden knew me as well, and they said you want to take a gamble on him, and they go yeah okay we'll see what we can do, and then I went to Japan obviously I did my first death match and come back, and they were like okay you and Antonio like we were like yeah we'll do some hybrid stuff in that. And you know, so I'm very thankful because I don't know without them, I think it would have come. I just don't know when. So yeah, that was first introduction to Kumite was sick. I love
Dude,
that match as well.
I've heard that match because obviously, you know, it's in the intro. You know, you got the needle spot through the cheek,
Yeah,
but obviously the Antonio one, it's everywhere else. It's just like, mate,
yeah. There's a lot of like at Kumite. There's a lot of like needle spots. So that's where kind of like I made it popular, I guess. Like I don't think anyone had really done. I don't think Drew does darts, and I think he's done needles once or twice in Japan, and I think Drew and Clint might have done it. But apart from that, I've not really seen anyone. So I was like, okay, we'll do the syringes. It's
that's
cool.
one. I've only ever seen it like such. I've probably watched hundreds of matches now, thanks to freaking Mr. Bullet. The only other time I've seen it besides yourself is I'm going to mess up his name. I know I am, and I apologize. I'm sure it's called Sick Boy, and it was a match between him and Drake Younger.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
I think his name. I'm sure it's called Sick Boy.
Like Lil Sicko. Is it Lil Sicko? Like dressed up a bit like a juggalo, like a clown.
No, he's kind of came out a bit like he had like red fishnets on, pulled up quite high. Man, it's gonna bug me now. I'm gonna have to.
No idea.
Yeah, sorry, dude. I'll find it and it'll be something.
Yeah, let me know.
Nothing like Sick Boy at all. I'm just like, that's the impression I got. I was like, mate, that guy is sick. I was like, no, that's it. That name's just stuck. But yeah, the needle spot. It's kind of weird as well. Obviously, you know, with you being like, you know, the straight edge. It's very much like a contrast of, you know, you see needles. I think train spotting. But use the straight edge. It's like, hang on a minute, this ain't right.
I try and like incorporate like a lot of like realism in a lot of ways. Like I think what would genuinely hurt, like loads of people, like in everyday life as well. Like loads of people have to go to the doctors and get a shot, and loads of people you hear, I've got phobia of needles. Me and Clint did the syringe spot at the Dead Men Talking podcast festival thing, the first one. And I didn't know Rob Morland was like, oh, I just don't like needles, mate, me. And I thought, you know, oh, he's mucking about, you know, it can't be that bad. He genuinely has a proper phobia of needles. So when I got referee Lee to shout out to get Rob to take the syringe out of me, he was nearly sick. He was genuinely nearly sick in his mouth, and he's like, "You horrible bastard." Yeah, that was. There's been a few people sick before from it. I know that, and I know a lot of people. First time I brought them out, everyone thought it wasn't real. Thinking the one with me and Jack Harrop as well, when I drew it out and chucked it in the ring, and it rolled off the side. Someone actually stabbed himself in the arm with it and went, "Oh, it is actually real, you know." Like, yeah, it is. Like, it's just gone through my cheek and just been sprayed by it. Like, of course it's real. It's not like like some of that, you know.
It's not like a top knife that goes in when you
Yeah,
stab somebody, or
it's not a bit of that.
dude. But like I say, it's just it's visual. Just the reaction from seeing one, gets people like backing off a little bit, or even maybe got a little bit green. It's just, and then what happens next?
Yeah,
Finishes the job. But yeah, obviously, talking. So that's the thing, I mentioned Kumite. We talked, bleeding gums. There's Rise. As I said, I've had the pleasure of speaking to a handful of people from the scene, and it is something now where I think deathmatch wrestling, the British deathmatch wrestling scene, is so on the up. It's just the upwards trajectory of it is just to the moon at the minute. Over the last few years, it just seems to be building and building and building, and it's getting beyond credible. It's becoming very. The fan base is just next level.
Yeah. If you have a look at like a lot of the guys, we all do family shows, pretty much, and that says something that in the morning you can do a family show, and then the afternoon you're carving people up with glass, and you can still apply it to both sides. You can work a crowd, which you have a look at some people and all they do is they just do deathmatch. They do nothing else, and they might find it hard to like work an under 18s crowd or something like that. So I think we're very fortunate that the people in it now actually want to be in it for the right reasons. Like, people all do it because they love it. Like, you wouldn't do it if you didn't, ideally. I mean, loads of people think it's like an instant in. But it's not. Like, if you just wander up to your local promoter and say, yeah, I want to do a death match, 9 times out of 10, I'd probably say someone's going to say, go and learn how to wrestle and come back. So
that's it. Yeah. No, because and I think you spot on. I mentioned it, before I hit record, kind of thing. I think me and Alton had this conversation, kind of thing. He quizzed me and he was asking me why I thought, it was doing so well and the fans are really getting behind it. The fans are as loyal as they are, and that was generally my response, was because you guys aren't doing it because you're limited for options. You're doing it because you're passionate about it, because it's something you love. And yes, but you can still get psychology into a match, kind of thing. You still tell a story. You're still creating those moments and messing with people's emotions. It's not just the one emotion of, there are other emotions involved in the matches as well.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like, you have a look at that at Kumite this Sunday coming up with Antonio and Alton Thorne. Like, people like passed out at that last show. If that does not tell you that they're doing something right, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
If someone thought this was all some big hokey act that, there's no time put in, there's no skill, it's just, we're going to go in there and launch light tubes at each other's head for 20 minutes. You could probably do that on a building site. Do you know what I mean? But they've got something special that they've carved, and it's taken basically from the start of Kumite to now to really finish it, to be honest. So it's like planting the seed, and as you're showing, building like layers, not just pulling the trigger as soon as you get an idea. It is, we're building this story.
It works. It obviously works really, really well. But obviously, I had the pleasure. I kind of feel bad mentioning the show because it was a one and done. But personally, I fucking loved the show. I thought it was great. The NCW at Carriageworth in Leeds, yourself against Isaac North. If that number one contendership for, obviously, that never happened.
Still number one contender right now.
Exactly, man. If that promotion ever comes back up, you're like, oh, I'm getting a title shot.
Yeah, I'll be rubbing my hands and going, come on, I'm owed. It's rightfully mine.
Exactly. But I mean, obviously, like I say, it was kind of ill-fated. It was one and done, but the venue was awesome, mate. And obviously, in a ladder match against Isaac North, that must have been pretty cool. In that venue, like it was in a quality like theatre. It was. As a fan, I was sat there looking around like, this is amazing. This is awesome.
I'd have ideally liked to use more of the arena than, but obviously they just go. front of the ring. It's a no-go. So it's all right. I'll work around it. But yeah, it was cool working Isaac for the first time. Few like homage spots to like some of the OG like indie companies. Like I did the JC Bailey spot they did with Sonjay Dutt for like I think it was the IWA Junior Heavyweight Championship, and like their first match from like 2002. So I did that spot with like the catapult ladder where it flings over, you wedge it and it flings over the top. So that was cool. And yeah, never use a climbing apparatus to steal your briefcase because you genuinely have to hang on it and slide it off. And I said, I was on top of that ladder and I was like, okay, right, it's genuinely jammed now. I was like pulling it down. I was like, right, it's not cocking down like. So that was a bit of a nightmare, but I was happy with the match and, super chill guy. It was just, he said it was just, I think that show was just, it didn't know what it was. You've booked an absolute ton of people who are renowned for doing deathmatch and hardcore, and they're saying, oh, we want it like this, but you can't, it's an under 18s crowd, which is fair enough. Like, don't get me wrong. But the way it was all presented was more of an 18 show in my eyes, like saying, oh, we are anarchy and we are stuff like that, really. It was just, I think as well, like the venue going through, I think that was a nail in the coffin, that. And that's another time I was meant to face BA Rose. So.
Yeah, because obviously that would have been the match. That would have been, you as number one contender, BA as champ. That would have been, I presume, would have been, at the next show, the main event kind of thing. And
I think it was meant to be, yeah. Me and BA have meant to face each other like 3 times now, but it's always just died a death. So Sunday kind of tick that box and it's done. So yeah,
bloody hell. That is, for it to have happened like 3 times as well, though, because obviously I reeled off like the list of names, and I was like you've worked with before, and I noticed I was kind of like, and yeah, there's a name missing from this, in like in a one-on-one capacity, and I was like, all right, now I need that match. And but for you, mate, for it to 3 times for it to be teased and then just kind of taken away for whatever reason, obviously not nobody's fault. It must just be kind of like, right, I really want this now.
Oh yeah, I've been ready for it. It's definitely silly season. So it's like that one with Jack Harrop. That was last minute fill-in. That was meant to be me and BA that day. So that was, it was cool. Like getting to work Jack was meant. So
to be fair, that was a great backup. That was, that match was amazing kind of thing. And yeah, another icon of the scene kind of thing.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Stuff you wrestled his dad as well.
Twice, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, nearly died the first time.
Oh shit! Why? What?
So first it was Deathmatch Outlaws backyard show. Everything just normal deathmatch show, Me and Iceman, loads of people pulled out, and Iceman's like, I really appreciate what you've done for me when it was at Rise, and I was translating for him Abdullah Kobayashi, and I said to him that when we were there, I was like, oh, I'd always, I'd love to get in there with you one day. And we did, and not his fault at all. Proper freak accident, hit me with a bundle, tube bounced up, went straight in my head, and severed the artery in my head. So yeah, still finished the match, just carried on, just taped it up with the towel. The footage is somewhere on IWTV, and ended up spending quite a few hours in Hull A&E. Went back to the venue where it was at, made sure everyone knew I was okay and not dead. Everyone was really cool. Like, I had loads of people going, oh, when you get home, send me your email and we'll sort some merch out. Like, I'll buy some merch from you. Your match was sick. So I was like, thank you. Packed all my stuff up, drove to Fight Factory, and yeah, I couldn't really fight that night because even though I'd just had my head stitched up, there was still like blood pulsing out of it. So
that's crazy. That's what I was kind of wondering as well. You said, you say you went to the hospital afterwards. How's that conversation go? You walking through the hospital, you got this freaking gushing head. Like,
yeah,
they must be freaking out. Like, what the hell? Somebody stabbed you. You're like, what? accident. It was a wrestling match.
It was a light accident. I was refitting the tubes in the garage, and
Okay. So it's like, just an unfortunate accident.
I mean, to be fair, I was still in my full gear as well. I still had like my vest, my jeans, my kick pads, and knee pads on. So they either think I'm in some proper weird stuff, or like I've gone over the top for safety. I think I still had my wrist tape on as well.
Dude, it just look at you like, wow, okay, this guy's prepared. Obviously, he should have worn a helmet, but we'll learn for next time.
Should have gone for the full bubble wrap like the Zicky Dice job. So.
That's amazing. Sorry, as soon as you said it as well, I've been waiting. When you mentioned about doing the family shows, I've just got this mental image as soon as you said family shows, and we're kind of talking family shows and death matches. But obviously, something else I've been made aware of is that kind of spot now in death matches where I think it's the ballroom spot, or it's called, or something like that, where two people just sit on the chairs and just whack each other with light tubes.
Yeah, with little forearms, yeah.
Yeah, I've just got that image now in the family show of somebody trying to do it with like the noodles or foam fingers or something.
So I had like a soft core match, and I pitched that idea. The other guy didn't want to do it, and I was just like, right, I've got this really cool idea, right? I've ordered loads and loads of white like balloons, so I'm going to blow them up. I'm going to get tinfoil and put the ends of them, and we'll like tubes. And it was like a comedy match, so I was like, it's cool doing it. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. I want it really serious. And I was like, oh god, like yawn. But I thought the visual that would have been so funny. Like the whole thing was, oh, you can't use weapons because I'll use weapons and he's never used them before. So I thought, balloon light tubes.
Exactly, yeah, it worked. I mean, that's exactly pretty much it. What I was just thinking, I was like, that would have been just the intensity of just being sat there, teeing up through it, and then something just very comical, just whacking each other over the head with them.
Yeah, I'd been up for that. Been up for that all day long.
I mean, well, you didn't quite get to do that, although you did do. There was a garlic spot. I've mentioned him a few times. Obviously, you had that match against Mr. Bula at Kmart. Shout out Kmart as well. And the obviously, the vampire. How do you defeat a vampire? Use garlic.
Super kick garlic in his mouth. Yeah, full clove. Full clove. Well, not even one clove, just a full bulb of garlic. Super kicked in his mouth. I bet all the way home, everyone said that he stank. Like in the box it was in, I showed it to the crowd, and everyone's like, "Oh God!" I was like, I said, "It smells like garlic bread." I was like, it was rough. It was really rough. And as soon as I ripped the lid off the box to do it, I was like, this is a bit strong. This I should have just gone for one clove or two, but yeah, the full bulb, and I think some of it broke off in his mouth as well. So I don't know if he chewed it and swallowed it, what he did, but yeah.
I mean, that's commitment. I mean, as impressive as light tubes, all that kind of sort of stuff is. Eating raw garlic meat, that's
sick extreme. Puppy behaviour, that. Proper sick puppy behaviour.
That is quality. But then obviously, we were talking about that kind of sort of stuff. Obviously, I mentioned him earlier, Jack Maxwell. Another match I watched was an amazing triple threat. It was originally stated, I think, as obviously Jack Maxwell versus Hardman Dan, and then the entrances take place, and then you come out, and it's like, oh shit, this match has changed, and it just became like this awesome triple threat. It was kind of like, obviously, we'll call it a hardcore match. It's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, it was cool that I'd worked Maxwell and Hardman Dan for quite a few times before, and I didn't even know if I was going to get to do the event that year because I was meant to be in Japan for a substantial amount of time, but something changed and I had to come back due to work. So I ended up getting a flight, and I was like, okay, it's cool, I'll come back and we'll do the match. And they're like, okay, you'll be surprise entering. I was like, that's cool, works for me. But yeah, Jack Maxwell and HMD both pretty much got rocket strapped to the back at the minute. Everywhere they go, they're absolutely smashing it out park. Both sound lads, First, I think I was Maxwell's first hardcore match. I know he definitely said he wanted 1 year. Well, I think he said to Dutch he wants to dip his toe in it. So we went a bit for it. We ended up like doing pins a bunch and stuff like that. But yeah, he took really well to it. It's just both of them are just so adaptable. Like, don't get me wrong. I think they're both credit wherever they go, really. And you know, you're getting your money's worth when they're on.
Definitely, I fully agree. Love both guys. I think both guys are amazing. They should be in a lot more places. He said they are popping up in a lot of places now, but they should be in a hell of a lot more places for everybody's enjoyment. Another thing, I kind of sorry, I normally get into this after we talk about like the training and stuff, but I kind of just got lost with all the other cool stuff. When you got into the training, you thought, right, okay, I'm going to do this. We're going to crack on. Characters always kind of fascinate me, how people come up with what they want to be, what they want their style to be. Obviously, we've talked about this, that, and the other, deathmatch stuff and working the family shows. But when you started, did you kind of have this straight edge violence kind of persona in mind, or was it just a case of seeing, we'll try a few things, see what works?
I always kind of wanted it because it's quite a personal story for me, like being edge and stuff like that. And people around me who know about it know that like there's a bunch of stuff behind it.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to have like the straight edge thing behind me, but what I didn't want to get labelled as is just another CM Punk. Like when my first gear was knee pads, kick pads, shoot boots, and black trunks. So I either looked like someone who's just fresh out of New Japan dojo, or CM Punk ripoff, or Johnny kick pads. So I was, it was always like a big thing to me to like make my wrestling actually speak for itself rather than like people cast judgment at that.
Yeah.
And the deathmatch stuff was always I always wanted to do it. Like I've loved Freedoms and Big Japan for years. Like I think I started watching Freedoms in about 2012 or something like that. So it's been quite a while. But yeah, it's just quite hard to, especially when you first new training, like try and dial down that character and like know everything about it, and like it's also become believable. Like how I act in the ring, whether it be heel or face, it's just an extension of me. It's just me with with the volume turned up past 10. That guitar amp I'm plugged into, it's pushing some power out and it's starting to get a bit distorted at the end, that you can feel the walls booming, that kind of thing.
It's up to 11. It's basically shaking. But yeah, it's that kind of stuff. But I must admit, obviously, as soon as you mentioned the straight edge thing, unfortunately, a victim of success in, one of the most infamous, famous, well-liked, hated, whichever camp you sit in, wrestlers, in the history of CM Punk. Yeah, as soon as you hear that straight edge thing, it's like, people aren't going to make that comparison. So I know, is that more pressure to be kind of like, right, all right, I don't want to, was there even a point where you just thought, you know what, as much as it means to me, the history and everything like that, I just don't want to do straight. I just don't want anything straight edge kind of related to me, or was it just a case of like, I will make this work?
I was going to run with it. And I was like, you know what? If it don't take off, it don't take off. Like I think people go more towards it now in deathmatch because there's a lot more X-rated themes in deathmatch.
Yeah.
So there's not like a lot of people who are edge. Like I don't think there's crazy amounts that are edge in like the UK scene. Like Clint's like a big advocate for like edge and stuff, and we speak quite a bit about that kind of stuff. But I think it was more acceptable to like bring it into my deathmatch style, like with my deathmatch stuff, than it was like my family friendly stuff. Because at the same time as, I've not got X's all over my gear. What's a 5-year-old kid in the front row is not going to understand that. They know CM Punk's got X's on his trunks, X's on his hands, but apart from that, they're not really bothered about it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not. I'm not here to tell people what's right and wrong. It's at the same time, it could be quite a weird concept to grasp, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like I say, it stands out, especially more in the deathmatch environment, because I've spoken to a few people. It seems to be like an ongoing joke. I think we coined it as a kind of like a catchphrase on the deathmatch series of couple of cans of red stripe, couple of power sheet. Well, jobs are good and crack on kind of thing. It's just people can endure that because it's just like the kind of a few power sheet, well, a couple of drinks afterwards. Kind of take the edge off. but obviously, you know, that's you, mate. You just, you know, grin and bear it. And just crack on.
Lucozade original or Mountain Dew. That's my poison.
Oh, Mountain Dew, I've not had that for years.
Yeah, I found some Code Red the other day. Me and Tim Strange actually before the Somerset show, we grabbed some. We found some code. We found some. I think he bought two. He bought Barja Blast and Code Red. That's some Code Red, but it was incredible. I've not had that in years, and I was like, this is the nectar of the gods.
Yes, this is what you need. This is the adrenaline. This is the natural high of the Code Red. Just jobs are gonna.
May have diabetes now, but it was worth it.
Nah, you know, you've always got a needle on hand if needs be. Just make sure you got it.
Exactly.
It works. So yeah, that was obviously another name I wanted to mention at some point was just Tim. Well, Tim's awesome, you know, and obviously being in the scene that you're in. I know he gets around, but he's a massive advocate. You know, he's just one of those guys that everybody just seems to love. You know, I've never really met anyone who's got a bad word to say about Tim. He's just lovely. You know, he's just a great person to have, and he's always kind of going to go out of his way for you as well.
Oh, really nice guy. Like he'll speak to anyone. He'll help anyone. You know, he's a real like. He feels like the uncle of locker room at times. Like he's super sound, and you know, a lot of people are like, oh, he's doing deathmatch. I was like, he's if you've seen his stuff, he works so well. Yeah. You know, he knows his gimmick. He's down for anything. He is. He's absolutely mad. Tim is. I think it was me and Iceman sat somewhere, and we went out. And so I think it was the tattoo spot with Tomby. I think it was that one. I think me and Ice were just like, this is just getting silly. This is proper silly season stuff, this. But yeah, he's super cool guy, Tim is. We all love Tim Strange.
But yeah, obviously we've mentioned X, Y, and Z, you know, talking Japan. Obviously, you know, I always kind of want to ask this question, but I always kind of catch myself and I stop because I don't want to be like, you know, what else is on the list? What other boxes have we got to tick? You know, but then again, I don't want to put you on the spot and be like, well, I want to work for this or I want to work there. But you know, without sort of being too precise about anything, you know, what's the future goals? I mean, we've talked Japan. You know, I've watched a lot of the Mexican deathmatch stuff. That they seem fucking mental crazy for it, like in junkyards and fucking
Zone 23.
Like yeah.
There's a few things I'd love to do. I'd really like to go over to Australia. Some of the lads are going this year, which is sick. I'd like to do the Dream Tournament, which is like deathmatch tournament for DMDU. Tournament of Death, I'd love to do that. Cage of Death. I'd like to do Pain Limit for Freedoms, Ikitosen for Big Japan. I'd love to do, but I can't because I can't get it off work this year. King of Deathmatch World Grand Prix 2 this year. I did the last one. This year just gone. I wasn't in the tournament, but I was on the card. So, but yeah, that was a super fun day. So I'd love to be back there doing that this year on New Year's Eve. But that show was long. That show was super long. I think I left the venue at like 3:00 in the morning and my hand was all squirting blood all over and my back was bad. I sat in this taxi and this guy drove straight past my hotel and I was like, it's here. And he goes, no, it is down here. And I'm like, no, it is exactly here. Trust me. Pulled up the map and showed him. And he's like, oh, so it is. Then he took the wrong turn in Takiwadai and ended up going down this massive bypass, which was a one-way system until we got to like these crossroads and he couldn't turn around in that. So we had to go down another street. And then I think after about another 40 minutes, I got to my hotel. And I was at this point, I still had to, I think I went to go and had tickets to go and watch Noah New Year. It was the Ulka Sasaki versus Shinsuke Nakamura match. So I was like, I'm not missing this. But I think I woke up at about 9:30 and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I think I need an hour or two more. But I pulled myself out of bed and hit that convenience store for the gods of the Pocari Sweat and the onigiri. And I soldiered through all day.
That's true. I mean, it's just stories like that, you know, that obviously, you know, when you're in Japan or anywhere else kind of thing where, as a fan, you know, we know you go there, we know you wrestle, but yeah, you know, it's getting to like shows, getting back from shows. It's obviously, you know, it's not as bad for you. You can't speak the language, but I can't even imagine being over there and just, you know, not even being able to communicate, which is just, yeah.
It's like being in that locker room on New Year's Eve was like bonkers for me. I remember seeing like Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome, all the power bombs and stuff. That I remember, I must have been about 8 years old with my dad watching ECW One Night Stand 2005 when he fucking bombs them through the table. And here is Masato Tanaka just walking in. And I was like, oh my God. And then I look and his bag's like 3 down from mine. So I've got him three bags down from mine. I've got Akira behind me. I'm going in to plan my match and stuff like that. And I've got Jun Kasai, Masashi Takeda. I've got Yuko Miyamoto and Isami Kodaka. And it's just absolutely bonkers. I was like, I never thought I'd get this.
Mate, that is just, you know, again, I kind of pull it back to what we was talking about before. You know, you just taking things off. You know, I've worked for this person, worked with this person, worked with this person, worked for this promotion, worked at this venue. You know, done this. It's just kind of like, mate, you know, it takes people some time to build up momentum. Whereas, but you've just kind of gone off the cliff, a massive fucking snowball, and you just kind of like rolling 100 miles an hour. It's just like,
oh, I'm very thankful. Like, I have a look at some of the stuff. I'm very thankful to be in the position I'm in. Well, obviously, I'm not wrestling as much at the minute, thanks to a closure of a company. But yeah, I'm very thankful for like everything I've been given, the trust that people put in me at certain points as well. That was really cool, and like also thankful for like the friendships I've made along the way. Because without some of those people, like some of the experience I had might not have been as good. So like I've been to Ribera a few times, and it was always me and Ozawa. But we went this last time. It was me, Schlack and Ozawa, and Akira, and Pondo, Mickey Knuckles, Beastman, Chuck Stein, and Eric Dillinger. So we all went there, and that was like a super cool thing. We were just all chilling out, and it wasn't like we're here because we're wrestlers. It was like we're just here to like have a steak and just chill out, which was really, really cool. And you know, seeing like all the artwork on the walls and on the ceiling, and you know where so many people have stood and had that photo at Ribera, you know, and getting the like them seeing them holding jackets and bits like that. It's a bit crazy to think I shouldn't be getting any of this at the minute.
dude, no, hell no. You know, whatever you get, you deserve it. It's obviously because you put the graft in. As I say, you made the right impressions. You've shown the respect. You've worked hard. It's just, man, I just, like I say, as soon as you mentioned Tanaka, I was just like, again, I'm an old school. Obviously, I've got a few years on you. I'm an old school ECW, you know, fan. I remember, you know, the original pre One Night Show, the original feud between, you know, him and Mike Awesome, and then that One Night Show match. Again, it must just be, I can only obviously speak for me, but just when you just kind of sat there, I'm in my own head, I'd be like, don't walk out. Don't walk, just be cool.
Yeah.
I belong here. You know, Blake cool. But, you know,
That'll be Takeda, big time. Like, I've always said, if anyone asks me, who do you think best deathmatch wrestler is? I'm like, overall, it's Takeda. Like, can work family shows, normal matches. He can work, he's so good at like MMA and grappling, jiu-jitsu, stuff like that. He's absolutely insane, super nice guy. And I was kind of like, oh shit, like majority of this match it's me and Takeda. So I think like it was just bonkers, absolute bonkers. It just put me through the ringer a bit, but you know, I was thankful for it. He checked on me afterwards and he's like, you did well. I said, thank you. Trying not to like I didn't get the photo, like, but you know, he was cool. I guess I've got other stuff from him.
You've got the memories, yeah. You got memorabilia.
Yeah.
I sort of say you got this, that, and the other. You can kind of play it cool, but yeah, you must have been that inner conflict of just being like, don't ask him for his autograph. Don't ask him, yeah, do this, don't do that. It's just kind of like, yes. I'm a fan. Hello, how are you? But yeah, that's it. You know, just totally play it cool.
Yeah,
mate. It's just crazy. Like I say, it's but you know, all that sort of put aside, you know, I sort of say, you know, working back over here, doing the family shows. I'd be missed, obviously, you know, we're mentioning all these, you know, massive names. But there's one name I noticed that you just can't seem to get the better of. I think he's beat you a few times, you know. That's Young Horace.
Young Horace, yeah.
Dude.
Well, you know, it might be a bit different in a death match. I don't know if he wants to dip his toe in that light, but you know.
That's
You
the
do
match
what
I want to see.
do what you do. You know.
That's the match I want to see now.
I don't know. I think one day he might want one, but who knows? I mean, he's all over at shop at the minute, isn't he? So he's working quite a few different places. So he's quite busy. So that's always he's good for people. See that like people are working a lot. You know, it's nice to see that like shows are getting busy, and you know it's carrying on. Like worst case in the world, like wrestling dies out, and it's like that's that then, isn't it? I guess we're back to the telly.
But like you said, at the minute, it just seems to be, I have this conversation where I don't think you're probably never more than 15 minutes away from a show. I don't think you're ever more than 30 minutes away from a good show. It's just the British scene at the moment it's just next level. And obviously, you're part of that. Must be an exciting time. Obviously, it's exciting to go to Japan and do all that kind of sort of stuff. But because of the reputation over here now, I think it must just be I don't want to say it's equally exciting because you don't have that sort of nostalgia, for the buildings of Japan, the talent and stuff. But it must be nearly as equally as exciting, just being a British wrestler at the minute.
It's cool. It's really cool, and like I said, I'm very thankful for the spots that people are giving me at the minute. Just kind of wanting now. I've proven on multiple occasions I can put on a good death match. Like I want, hopefully, like 2026. Hopefully, I want a few people to take a gamble on me, and pretty much, let me show you I can work. Like I can work a normal match. A lot of people think, oh, he's just a death match guy. Like, book me, and I'll show you I'm not. I can work normal matches. I started doing family shows. I've done camps. I've done full summers of camps and stuff like that. It's just want people to just broaden horizons a bit.
That's it. I mean, we've talked about the matches, like Fight Factory and stuff like that. That's obviously, not just like the deathmatch stuff. But you mentioned like the holiday camps, and they to me, that's like wrestling 101. That's like the boot camp. If you can go out and work 6 weeks, several shows in a day, kind of thing, and entertain people that are there that aren't even wrestling fans. They're just there because it's something to do for a couple of hours, while they're on holiday. That speaks volumes.
Yeah, it's definitely good for like owning your craft. Like if you can't work a camp show, you don't need to be a like it's it's basics, and it's like those basics that will set you in good stead for like the rest of your journey.
It's learning the fundamentals just by doing laps, isn't it? You're getting the routine, you get the psychology, like I said. But it's also getting that character development, because I say there's a lot more crowd participation. Everything's got to be a little bit more, I hate the word, but a little bit more pantomime. It's got to be like a little bit more, dramatic, or
it's a lot more spoon fed, I find.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm looking for.
They don't know who's a good guy, don't know who's a bad guy, don't know who you are, who's the next guy. You've got to remember these guys are here maybe for like a week. So, they're going to go and see Coco Clown later on, or like the Seaside Squad. They're not bothered about Joe Bloggs, who's beaten
exactly
Jimmy Blackmore 5 times last week in a tables match. Yes, they don't know any of that. So you've got to give them like everything. Got to give them the time when they need to feel that like you're in desperation.
Yeah, that's it. The good guys have got to be really good, and the bad guys have got to be really bad. To emphasize the point, kind of thing. And it's like, okay, so I'm meant to cheer this guy. Right, okay, I get it. I'm booing this guy. Right, let's go. There's no space on the holiday for the cool in between us. They don't really exist in the holiday camps. You've either got to be like, vanilla babyface, or just dastardly Darth Vader heel.
Nasty man shouting at the granny in the front row. That's how you've done a good job. If the granny goes for you, that's a good job.
I love that. I still see that at some shows I go to, and it just makes me smile. It's like as soon as I see a granny go for somebody, I'm like, yes.
I did a camp show once, and in Booton Park in Lincoln, and the kid stabbed me in the leg.
What?
It was feral. Asked Dutch about it. Like, I came back, and bearing in mind, it wasn't a hardcore match, wasn't nothing. And, it was me and Dutch working, actually. I was like, I've got juice coming out of me. Like, oh, God, your leg. I was like, I thought that kid had done something with me. Yeah, stabbed me in the leg with it. I can't remember what it was. It looked like a metal pen. Or it might be like a spoke off his bike or something. I have all my shots for work, so it's okay.
Oh, fucking kids. Oh yeah. That's craziness. But dude, that's just yeah. Like I said, man. Hopefully, like I said, you're getting out there. I think, yeah, with the British talent, nobody can really be just pigeonholed as a deathmatch guy. Anybody who knows anything knows you're very versatile. This, that, and the other. Obviously, there's a handful of promotions that I go to or that I watch. Mate, I'm just kind of say I'm keeping my eyes peeled. I'm always kind of excited to sort of see, hopefully, yeah, Jack Bennett's book's awesome. I get to see it. That's why I popped huge at NCW. I thought that was obviously going to be the start of seeing you on a regular basis. But yeah, man, I'm just kind of like, it's not a case of when it's going to happen. I think it's, I'm excited to see when you start turning up at these newer promotions as well.
Yeah, I mean, like North's a big one I want to hit. Like spending a lot of time growing up in Newcastle, and like half my family's from there, so that's a big one I want to hit. Like True Grit as well. I think I won't be too far off the mark with there. Somewhere like BWR, maybe return to Fight Factory. See what's going on. Just stuff like that, really. I'm open to anywhere. Like currently, I just want to like prove myself. Like I'm just because I'm not doing this week in week out doesn't mean I'm rusty by any chance, like any reason. And obviously, I want to provide for everyone and have a good time. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's a list of like people I want to face as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll work nearly anybody, but there's a certain few people that like I think we'd have a decent match. People like Henry Forst from North, absolutely sound guy.
Yes.
Like we talk quite a lot. He's cool as fuck, and I've always said like I just love me and you just exchanging like fucking kicks to each other and soccer kicks and gurries and stuff like that. And like even oddly enough, it's never happened in the singles. I'm dying for like a one-on-one with Rogan.
Oh,
I'd love an over 18s with Jack Maxwell and all, like pushing that deathmatch territory. I know he's not adverse to it, like, but yeah, I think that'd be a cool one, especially like it's full circle now. So.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, and who better to do it? Kind of make sure he does it right. And to make sure he learns how, if he's going to dip his toe into this, mate. Yeah, who better than you to kind of be like, look, well.
I think he'd be in good hands with anyone, really. I just, probably a bit selfish me saying, I gave him his first hardcore match. His first death match wouldn't be a bad do, would it?
Exactly. And to be fair though, mate, you've got a history as well. It's not selfish. It just makes sense. You've got that history. The fans will be like, they'll buy into it more. The emotions there because of the past. It's just like, you and Rogan though. Oh, yeah. As soon as you said that, it's like, I'm a fucker.
F5 on shock and trolley. That's what I'm feeling.
Dude.
He always jokes to me. He's like, me and JOC had a tag match against him, Reese, and HMD, and that got a bit out of hand. Like, it were good. Like, I think that's the last time I was on Fight Factory. That was, I think, November last year. That was super cool. I think we all. Like, Corey got a nasty gash on the back of his head from the drawing pins. He took a sunset flip from me straight into the drawing pins and bounced. But we had loads of stuff. We had like tables. I took a pile driver on a guitar. There was loads of stuff and I think it flowed really well. I think there's some really good chemistry. It's just somewhere down the line I want to make it happen. Saved in my phone as well. So it's got to happen. Got to manifest it.
Nice. That's it. That's what I love doing on this episode. When I'm talking to people. I want to get stuff out into the universe. I want to put it out there. I want people to be like, ooh. They start talking about it, and people are like, yeah, okay. It takes shape. It takes form. It's like, yeah, there we go. You against Henry Forsto, mate. That's a match I've not thought of, but now you've said it, I'm like, yeah, okay. I need that match. I don't care if it's at North wrestling in Newcastle, just somewhere, because he was somebody that I wasn't overly aware of until about a year ago. I started watching wrestling in Newcastle, like on YouTube, and seeing him go against like Joe Wade, seeing him go against like Vuzic, guys like that. I was just like, and then obviously, it makes all the sense in the world. I'm like, shit. Now you've mentioned it. Yeah,
really cool guy. Really cool guy. I got a lot of time for Henry. He very similar styles in some ways. Yeah, really, really nice guy. Like, he was doing Kumite for a little bit, and that was cool. Like, just chilling in the back with him. Jet Marshall and all, like, he was absolutely sound when we had him at Fight Factory.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool one. Like, he absolutely loves Homicide, and I'm a big mark for Homicide. So.
Oh, dude. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, pretty much pays tribute every time he comes out with a freaking bandana on. It's kind of like, oh, yeah, it's Homicide from Brighouse.
Yeah, I'd take a cop killer. That's...
Oh, mate, that is, yeah. Again, and somebody else who is in my top 5, Jet. I just think, yeah, but again, these are the matches that, now you've been talking about it. I'm like, yes, okay. 2026, these matches, I will put it out to anyone. Please, if any promoters watching this, I know a few people do. I don't care if it's a True Grit, I don't care if it's at Wrestling in Newcastle, I don't care if it's at Infamous. Book it on Wrestle Island, smash up Birkenhead, have Jack Bennett versus Jet Marshall, just lay waste to Birkenhead. You can tidy up afterwards, it's fine. This is what I want to see.
Yeah.
Good. But mate, this is the point of this episode now. I'm just getting too hyped to make any sense while I'm talking. I've just clocked the time as well. Buddy, thank you so much. I said I'd keep you for about an hour, which we have done. It's flown by. I was just like, we've probably got another 20 minutes. Oh, shit. No, okay, it's been about an hour. Thought we had another 20 minutes. But, mate, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. And we will do it again at some point. After all these matches have taken place, I want to pull you back in and be like, dude,
yeah, we'll take 3 off and we'll rehash for the next year, yeah. But no, it's been sound. So cheers for having me. It's been nice to just unwind this time of night. Normally, I'm normally on a night shift now, so it's really cool that I've got the night off and I'm just doing something wrestling related. It's cool. It's
talking about wrestling. That's it.
All day,
all day. Dude, let people know where they can hit you up and find you on the socials, and obviously keep an eye on what you're up to.
So I'm on Instagram at Jack Bennett Puresu, Twitter or X as Jack Bennett Puro. My name just on Facebook. I'm also on Cameo. Any merch I'll do through myself, and the next dates you can find me are the
Kumite.
This Sunday 19th, Kumite. But after that, I can't say anything. Well, I don't want to let anyone on. I don't want to let anyone on to a good thing. So
I will keep my eyes peeled, and as soon as they are officially announced, I will let you all know where and when. But yeah, obviously, thank you for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, comment, all the generic stuff we ask you to do. Keep your eyes peeled. Lots of awesome, cool stuff coming up. And yeah, just remember, always work the left side. And we'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.